Hi everyone, this is Serene and our topic for today is all about cash and cash equivalents. Okay? Now apparently, cash and cash equivalents, as we all know, is an asset, meaning to say, its normal balance is debit. Alright? Now, apparently, being an asset, normally nakikita natin to sa statement of financial position. Now, let's explain one by one those two accounts because as you can see, hindi lang naman isang account yung nandito. We have what we call cash, then later on, we will also discuss cash equivalents. Okay? Start tayo sa cash. See to it that according to IAS number 1, okay, cash is actually an asset, okay, that is what? That is what we call unrestricted. Okay, that's the first requisite, before an item can be considered as cash. And the second requisite is that it should be immediately available for use. Ibig sabihin, okay, if an item is not immediately available for use, let's say, for example, it is a post-dated check. Since, as we all know, a post-dated check is a check that is dated sometime in the future, okay, and hindi pa natin yun mapapapalit sa bangko, see to it that that will not be or cannot be considered as cash. Okay? Now, apparently, the second, okay, or the first requisite is that it should be unrestricted. Ibig sabihin, even if you have cash, but it is restricted as to use. Let's say, for example, you have what we call a compensating balance. Then apparently, this compensating balance is legally restricted as to withdrawal. Later, pag-uusapan natin lahat ng to. See to it, that that is not or that cannot be considered as cash as well. So once again, before an item can be considered as cash, there are two requisites. What are those again? First, dapat unrestricted, and then pangalawa is that it should be immediately available for use. Alright? So what are the examples of cash, okay, na normally nakikita natin sa mga problems? Of course, the first example will be the cash on hand. Again, first example will be the cash on hand. Kapag sinabi natin cash on hand, ito lang naman yung mga cash na currently hawak natin. Okay? Second example of cash that is normally seen in the problems is what we call the cash in bank. Now, kapag sinabi natin cash in bank, ito lang naman yung mga pera natin sa bangko, meaning to say, ito yung mga savings account, checking account, or even current account natin. As long as, once again, it is unrestricted. Okay? Another example of cash, okay, will be the checks that we have received, okay, from, let's say, for example, customers, As long as that check is valid, it is dated, it's not stale, okay, it is not, okay, an NSF check. As long as it is a valid check, that check will be part of our cash. Okay? Another example na nasa isip ko will be the money orders. Now, kapag sinabi nating money orders, ito lang naman yung mga pera na pinadala sa atin through Cebuana Luwilier or M. Luwilier. I'm not sure if aware ka pa sa mga to. But previously, nung wala pang GCash, okay, para makapagpadala yung mga tao sa mga mahal nila sa buhay, okay, it's not through GCash kasi wala pang ang GCash, okay, it is through, okay, those money orders. Alright? Now, another example of cash is yung mga tinatawag natin, na bank drafts, okay? And then last but not the least, since nabanggit ko na rin, see to it, that GCash and other similar items are part of our total cash and cash equivalents. Ibig sabihin, kapag may pera ka sa GCash mo or even sa Paymaya mo, automatically, yung pera mo sa loob ng GCash mo, kasama yon sa ating total cash and cash equivalents. Okay? Now, later, pag-uusapan natin lahat ng Sorianotes natin about cash and cash equivalents. Okay? But for now, punta muna tayo sa kasunod. Ano yung kasunod? Yung kasunod or yung pangalawang account na kailangan nating malaman is yung tinatawag naman natin na cash equivalents. Because once again, dalawa yan, cash and cash equivalents. So let's talk about cash equivalents. Now, kapag sinabi natin na cash equivalents, these are short-term, again, these are short-term highly liquid investments. Again, these are short-term highly liquid investments that are readily convertible to cash. Okay? Now, apparently, as a general rule, okay, etong mga bagay na to or etong mga asset na to, hindi actually sila part ng cash because these are, as a general rule, once again, investments. Ibig sabihin, no, binili natin itong mga to in order for us, okay, to generate profit through, let's say, for example, investment income such as interest, dividends, etc. Now, as a general rule now, these are part of our investment. But apparently, if these investments that we acquired are short-term, highly liquid, and these are readily convertible to cash, then definitely we can include them in our total cash and cash equivalents. Now, here's the big question. Kailan nako-consider, no, ang isang investment as short-term, highly liquid? Now, an investment is considered to be a short-term, highly liquid investment if the same is acquired, again, if the same is acquired, no, 3 months before maturity. So, the rule here, para maisama natin, no, sa ating total cash and cash equivalents, ang isang investment, it should be acquired 3 months before maturity. So, dito, see to it na hindi natin tinitignan yung original term, okay, ng investment because it's possible that we have, let's say, for example, no, a 3-year treasury bills. And then apparently, itong 3-year treasury bills na to, binili natin siya, okay, 3 months before its maturity. So, even though its original term is 3 years, if binili natin siya 3 months before siya mag-mature, still, it is a cash equivalent. Okay? Another common mistake of students here, okay, is yung, okay, treasury bill or treasury bonds, let's say, for example, na binili natin 2 years ago. So, let's say, for example, bumili tayo ng investment 2 years ago. Then, on the date that we are to prepare financial statements, 2 months or 3 months na lang magmamature na yan. Take note that that investment, okay, cannot also be considered as cash equivalent. Why? Because even though 2 months, 1 month, or even pa 1 week na lang magmamature na yan, you did not acquire it 3 months before maturity. So if, okay, hindi mo yan binili 3 months before maturity, then definitely kahit pa bukas magmamature na yan, hindi pa rin siya pwedeng makasama sa ating cash equivalents. Okay? So let me just summarize that para lang malinaw. Once again, the rule here is that kailangan binili mo siya 3 months before maturity. Hindi natin dito tinitignan, okay, yung original term nung investment, hindi rin natin tinitignan, no, yung remaining term ng investment. Ang tinitignan natin dito is kung kailan natin siya binili. Maliwanag ba yon? Now, apparently here, no, okay, in cash equivalents, etong mga investments na tinutukoy ko dito are only what we call the debt investments. Kasi meron tayong dalawang klase ng investments eh. Meron tayong tinatawag, no, na debt investments, and then meron din tayong tinatawag na equity investments. So see to it that only debt investments kasi has maturity date. Kapag sinabi natin, no, na equity investment, again, kapag sinabi natin na equity investments, see to it, no, na normally wala kasing maturity date etong mga to. So, ang ibig sabihin ngayon, if they don't have maturity date, paano mo masasabi na binili natin tong investment na to 3 months before maturity? So, ibig sabihin ngayon, no, since walang maturity date yung ating mga equity investment, okay, kapag bumili tayo niyan, automatically hindi na sila part ng ating cash equivalents. Doon mo sila sa other investment, no, ilalagay. Now, apparently, meron ako nakitang isang problem, no, na medyo maraming bata ang nagkakamali. So, our goal here, no, is hindi lang para matuto ka. Goal din natin dito is maiwasan yung mga common mistakes ng mga estudyante. Okay? So, if, okay, meron akong alam na common mistake ng mga estudyante, no, sa isang particular topic, okay, sasabihin or i-discuss din natin yon. Now, common mistake of students here, no, is that merong isang item. Ang sabi sa problem na yon, no, okay, the company acquired equity investment that is expected to be resold within 3 months. Now, apparently, even if that equity investment is expected to be resold within 3 months, see to it, no, na hindi mo pa rin yun isasama sa ating cash equivalent. Because that 3 months expectation, okay, from the term itself, it's just an expectation. Ibig sabihin ngayon, walang kasiguraduhan na ibibenta talaga natin yung equity investment na yan within 3 months. Maliwanag ba? So here, hindi kino-consider na maturity date yung 3 months na expectation natin na yon. So for that reason, no, yung equity investment na yon, hindi pa rin siya part ng ating cash equivalents. Clear? Now, meron akong gustong i-discuss na topic that is related here. Although, okay, soon or pagdating natin ng shareholders equity mo palang dapat malaman. What's that? Okay, let's talk about what we call the redeemable preference shares. Again, let's talk about redeemable preference shares. Okay? Now, kapag sinabi nating redeemable preference shares, see to it that these are, okay, the preference shares that are expected to be redeemed, okay, on a certain date. Meaning to say now, no, after a certain period of time, itong mga redeemable preference shares na to is ibabalik ng mga shareholders sa corporation, and the corporation will have to pay these shareholders. Now, apparently, even though in form, no, these redeemable preference shares are equity instruments, see to it that in substance, we treat these, no, again, in substance, we treat these are as debt investments. Ibig sabihin ngayon, okay, on, okay, the point of view, again, on the point of view of the issuing corporation, kapag nag-prepare siya ng statement of financial position, always remember, no, that redeemable preference shares are not part of the total shareholders' equity. Sir, bakit po? Because apparently, here in accounting, substance over form lagi tayo. We always favor, no, the substance of a transaction over its legal form. That's why since in substance, it is a debt transaction, see to it now, no, that on the point of view of the issuing corporation, i-add niya yan sa kanyang total liabilities. Maliwanag? So, hindi yan isasama ha sa shareholders' equity. Now, sir, bakit mo diniscuss as early as now, nasa cash pa lang po tayo ha? Bakit nyo po diniscuss ang redeemable preference shares? Well, diniscuss ko, no, itong redeemable preference shares na to because on the point of view of the investor, again, no, on the point of view of the investor, kapag bumili tayo ng redeemable preference shares, hindi tayo bumibili ng equity investment because apparently, as discussed, even though in form, equity instrument yan, in substance, it's a debt instrument. So kapag bumili tayo ng equity investment, once again, we don't treat it as an equity investment. But instead, we treat the same as a debt investment. Ibig sabihin ngayon, no, if bumili tayo ng redeemable preference shares and the same is expected to be redeemed within 3 months, automatically our investment will be part of our total cash equivalents. Okay? Ulitin ko lang. Kapag bumili tayo ng investment in equity securities, automatically hindi siya kasama ng cash equivalent. Okay? Pero kapag ang binili natin, no, is investment in redeemable preference shares, then binili natin to 3 months before maturity, automatically, no, that investment is still part of our cash equivalent because, okay, a redeemable preference shares is considered to be a debt investment. Okay? So those are all the things that you should know with regard to cash equivalents. Okay? So hopefully, no, okay, nakakasunod ka pa sa discussion natin. Okay? Now, let's move on to the measurement, no, of our total, of our cash and cash equivalents. Again, let's move on with regard to the measurement of our cash and cash equivalents, okay? Now, when we talk about cash and cash equivalents, see to it that as a general rule, again, as a general rule, cash are just measured at face value. Now, anong ibig sabihin ng face value? Ang ibig lang naman sabihin ng face value is kung ano man yung nakikita mong value, no, dun sa papel na hawak mo or dun sa mga barya na meron ka, that is automatically the measurement of cash. Okay? You cannot go, let's say for example, no, sa Starbucks, okay, tapos bibili ka for example, no, ng white chocolate mocha. Okay? Let's say for example, 165 yung price, okay, nung tall size lang, okay? Now apparently, hindi ka pwedeng pumunta doon and then order ka nga ng white chocolate mocha and then sasabihin mo, no, doon sa barista, "Miss, eto bayad ko." Ang binabayad mo, let's say for example, is a pink bill. Hopefully, no, nakakita ka na ng pink bill. Okay, hindi yung puro yellow and blue lang yung alam mo. Char. Kaya sa akin kasi puro orange and pink lang eh. Okay, so my point here, no, is sasabihin ng barista, "Sir, kulang po yung bayad nyo." Okay, you cannot tell the barista, no, okay, if that will be the case, na, "Miss, niloloko ka lang ng mga mata mo. Huwag kang magpapatiwala sa kung anumang nakasulat sa pink na pera na yan. Because maniwala ka sa akin, 1,000 yan." Hindi mo pwedeng gawin yon because it's very clear on the face of that pink bill, no, that it's only a 50 peso bill. Ibig sabihin ngayon, yun yung nakasulat dun sa face niya, therefore that is the face value of that bill. Ibig sabihin ngayon, no, since 50 or 50 pesos yung nakalagay dun sa pink bill na yun, the value of that pink bill now, no, is equal to 50 pesos. So as a general rule, no, the measurement of cash is at face value. Okay? Now, syempre, no, okay, we also have what we call here an exception to the general rule. Again, here, meron tayong tinatawag na exception to the general rule. So, what's the exception to the general rule? The exception to the general rule is when we have cash in foreign currency. Again, kapag meron tayong cash, no, in foreign currency, then automatically, okay, hindi na tayo at face value. Sir, bakit po? Because if you have cash in foreign currency, automatically, no, hindi mo na yan pwedeng i-add sa mga cash natin in local currency, which is Philippine peso. Because the value of those cash in foreign currency is no longer at face value. So those cash in foreign currency would have to be converted pa, no, at the current exchange rate, no, sa ating, okay, well, local currency, which is the Philippine peso. So if you have US dollars, for example, no, kailangan mo ngayon, again, kapag meron tayong cash denominated in US dollars, we need to convert those cash, okay, to the local currency muna at the current exchange rate before we can add those, no, to our or in our total cash and cash equivalents. Okay? Now, after measurement, punta ngayon tayo sa financial statement presentation. Again, let's now move on here, no, sa ating financial statement presentation. So, how do we present cash and cash equivalents sa ating, okay, statement of financial position? Well, apparently, as we all know, cash and cash equivalent is an asset. Therefore, part siya ng ating total assets. Well, to be specific, part yan ng ating current assets. Again, no, cash and cash equivalents is part of our current assets. Okay? Now, apparently, saan mo siya ilalagay? Sa dinami-dami ng total current assets natin, tama ba? Saan mo siya ilalagay? Well, cash is actually the first line item. Again, cash, no, is the first line item. Ibig sabihin, siya yung pinakauna nating nilalagay, no, sa lahat ng assets natin. Because we normally present our assets, no, in the statement of financial position based on their liquidity. And since cash is the most liquid item. Bakit siya na-consider as the most liquid item? Because you don't have to convert it para maging cash. Since it's the most liquid item, see to it now that cash is the first line item na kailangan nating ilagay sa ating total assets. Alright? Now, after knowing those, balikan natin yung ating cash. So, let me share with you guys our SORYA notes, okay, pagdating sa cash and cash equivalents. Alright? So, SORYA notes yung tawag ng mga estudyante ko, by the way. If this is the first time na narinig mo ako magturo, SORYA notes ang tawag ng mga estudyante ko sa mga notes na ginagawa ko. Okay? To distinguish them down from the others. Because normally, my way of solving things, okay, are different. Okay? So, normally, tinatawag nila yung mga SORYA notes. Actually, if you are a board exam taker, it's very important for you to look at first these SORYA notes before you take your board examination. If you are an undergraduate student, before ka mag-quiz or mag-exam, dapat, my suggestion, balikan mo muna tong mga SORYA notes na to. Because apparently, maikli lang tong mga to, you can finish, let's say, for example, reading the SORYA notes again, in 3 minutes pagdating sa cash. Okay, so that, before ka mag-quiz, para bang meron kang idea kung anong mga gagawin mo. Alright? Now, let's say, for example, SORYA notes number 1 tayo. Yung mga estudyante ko normally, naka-number to. So, kapag nagtatanungan sila, ano nga ulit yung rule sa SORYA notes 1? Kaya natin nilalagyan, ng numbers. Okay? So, let's discuss SORYA notes number 1. So, kapag sinabi natin SORYA notes number 1, this is what we call the cash in foreign currency. Again, let's discuss, cash in foreign currency. Now, na-discuss na natin to partially kanina. How do we measure nga ulit cash in foreign currency? See to it, that cash in foreign currency should be measured at the current exchange rate. Okay? Now, apparently, kapag meron tayong cash in foreign currency, you should know whether we can include this or not sa ating total cash and cash equivalents. Because remember, isa sa mga madalas itanong sa topic na to is how much is the total cash and cash equivalents? How much is the correct amount of our total cash and cash equivalents? So, para masagot natin yung tanong na yun, kailangan alam natin ano yung mga kasama, ano yung mga hindi. So, let's start with cash in foreign currency. Now, kapag sinabi natin cash in foreign currency, tignan mo muna, if meron silang, foreign currency restriction. Again, kapag meron tayong foreign currency restriction, anong mangyayari? So, if this cash in foreign currency has foreign currency restriction, automatically, hindi mo na to pwedeng isama sa ating total cash and cash equivalents. Worded in another way, these are excluded from our total cash and cash equivalents. Because, ano nga ulit yung rule natin? Ang rule, para maisama natin ang isang item sa total cash and cash equivalent is dapat unrestricted siya. So, kapag yung cash in foreign currency natin, meron siyang foreign currency restriction, once again, hindi mo na siya pwedeng isama sa ating total cash and cash equivalents. Okay? Now, the second scenario here is kapag yung cash in foreign currency natin, wala siya na foreign currency restriction. So, if this cash in foreign currency is without foreign currency restriction, then pwede na natin siyang isama sa ating total cash and cash equivalents. Ibig sabihin, this is now included in our total cash and cash equivalent that will be presented in our statement of financial position. Okay? Now, what if the problem is silent? Hindi sinabi ng problem, whether this cash is with or without foreign currency restriction. If that will be the case, that the problem is silent, our assumption is that it does not have a foreign currency restriction. And if wala siyang foreign currency restriction, then kasama siya sa ating total cash and cash equivalents. Alright? So that is SORYA notes number 1. Okay? Now, punta tayo dito sa ating SORYA notes number 2. What is SORYA notes number 2? SORYA notes number 2 is yung tinatawag naman natin na bank overdraft. Again, let's talk about bank overdraft. Okay? Now, kapag sinabi nating bank overdraft, these are actually the credit balance in our cash account. Okay? Now, you might ask me, sir, akala ko ba ang cash natin, asset yan. Therefore, being an asset, okay, meron lang siyang debit balance. Well, that is correct. Tama naman yon. So, bakit nyo po sinasabi ngayon na meron tayong credit balance sa cash? Well, I am telling you, na meron tayong credit balance sa cash, maybe because there is what we call over withdrawal. Again, possible kasi, na nagkaroon ng over withdrawal or, okay, issuance of check. Again, possible din that there is issuance of check, okay, that is higher. That is higher than, okay, the bank balance. Okay? Meaning to say, let's say for example, okay, yung laman lang ng pera natin sa bangko is equal to 100,000. And then nag-issue ka ng cheque worth 120,000. Now, apparently, sa ibang bansa, okay, i-release yung cheque na yon. Okay? Here sa Pilipinas, of course, we all know, natatalbog yon. Okay? And also, we have here in the Philippines a law that protects the interest of those people na ni-issuean ng cheque. Meron tayong anti-bouncing check law. Okay? So, dito sa Pilipinas, hindi pwede to. If 10,000 lang yung pera mo sa bangko, hanggang dun lang yung kaya mong i-withdraw. Okay? Pero sa ibang bansa, pwede kasi to eh. And since sometimes we are adopting the problems abroad, kailangan ngayon natin itong pag-usapan. Now, apparently, okay, kapag nagkaroon ng over-withdrawal or issuance of check that is higher than the bank balance, okay, automatically magkakaroon ng credit balance or, should I say, negative balance sa ating total cash and cash equivalents. Okay? So, how do we treat bank overdraft now? Anong magiging treatment ngayon natin ng bank overdraft? So, listen very well. As a general rule, again, as a general rule, bank overdraft, okay, should not be netted. Again, bank overdraft should not be netted against the other positive cash balance in our total cash and cash equivalents. Meaning to say, let's say for example, meron kang 100,000 balance kay Metrobank. And then nagkaroon ka ng 20,000, okay, na negative balance kay BPI. Now, as a general rule, once again, hindi mo pwedeng inet yung 100,000 na positive at yung 20,000 na negative. Because as a general rule, yung 20,000 na negative, dapat isama mo yan sa ating total current liability. Again, dapat, yung negative 20,000 na yan, isasama natin sa ating total current liabilities. Alright? Now, apparently, there is an exception to the general rule, of course. Actually, exceptions, kasi dalawa. Wherein, kapag pumasok tayo sa exceptions, okay, see to it, na itong bank overdraft na to, pwede na siyang inet. It can now be netted against the other cash balance. Okay? So, ano yung mga exceptions? Number 1 is if the company maintains, again, if the company maintains 2 or more accounts, again, 2 or more accounts, okay, in the same bank. Okay? Now, apparently, let's say, for example, meron kang deposit, meron kang dalawang savings account or deposit account kay BPI. Yung isa, positive 100,000. Yung isa naman, negative 20,000. So, since, okay, we maintain 2 or more accounts in the same bank, at yung isa doon, nag-negative, we can now offset the 2. So, ibig sabihin, yung negative 20,000, hindi mo na ngayon yun ipe-present as part of our current liabilities. This time, okay, the net amount of 80,000 will be the one to be included sa ating total cash and cash equivalent. Alright? Now, what if, okay, hindi ka naman nagme-maintain ng 2 or more accounts. What if you only maintain 1 account, okay, and then apparently, okay, 1 account from various banks. Iba-ibang bangko. Okay? If that's the case, see to it, no, that bank overdraft can still be offset, can still be netted against the other bank account, okay, if it is an integral part, no, again, if it is an integral part or if offsetting is an integral part of our cash management. So, apparently now, no, even though isang account lang ang mine-maintain natin sa bawat bangko, okay, and let's say, for example, nag-negative yung isa, if it is part of our, okay, or if it is an integral part of our cash management, to offset those, okay, negative balances, no, okay, from the positive balances, okay, to eliminate the negative balances, then, again, okay, we can still net the two. Okay? Pero kailangan sabihin ng problem to, kapag wala namang sinabi ang problem that, okay, it is an integral part of the cash management of the company to offset bank overdraft against the positive cash balance, wag kang magnenet if hindi to sinabi. Maliwanag? So apparently, if isang account lang ang mine-maintain natin at walang sinabing ganito, automatically, hindi tayo papasok sa exception. So nandito pa rin tayo sa general rule. And dito sa general rule, ulitin ko lang, hindi tayo nagninet. Anong ginagawa natin? We present the negative balance as part of our current liabilities. Okay? So that is SORYA notes number 2. So let me just erase, no, yung mga nakasulat sa board. Okay? So that we can discuss the other SORYA notes. Okay? Alright, now, let's move on to the next SORYA notes. The next SORYA notes that we should know is yung tinatawag natin, no, na SORYA notes number 3, and that is the cash set aside. Again, meron tayong tinatawag, no, na cash set aside for certain purposes. Okay? Certain purposes. Now, ano tong mga to? Well, kapag sinabi natin cash set aside for certain purposes, ito lang naman, no, yung mga cash na sinet aside natin or sinegregate natin para may panggastos tayo sa mga bagay-bagay. I believe nowadays, even if you are just a student, ginagawa mo naman to, di ba? Meaning to say, minsan, nagsisegregate ka na ng pera para may pang-date ka. Tama ba? Well, companies also do that. Okay, sometimes nagsisegregate sila ng pera para sure na may panggastos sila, okay, sa mga bagay-bagay. Alright? Now, here, kapag meron tayong cash na sinet aside, no, for certain purposes, kailangan mo munang malaman ano ba yung mga certain purposes na yon. If these cash are set aside for current purposes or for current operations, then apparently, ano yung rule? If these are set aside for current operations or for current purposes, these are included. Again, these are included sa ating total cash and cash equivalents. Ibig sabihin ngayon, no, kailangan i-add natin itong mga to kapag ang tanong sa problem is how much is the total cash and cash equivalents. So what are the examples, no? Again, what are the examples of cash that we have set aside for current operations? Number 1, syempre, no, dapat alam natin to. That's what we call the petty cash fund. Okay? Now, kapag sinabi nating petty cash fund, these are the cash set aside for payment of small expenses. Actually, may separate video tayo, no, discussing petty cash fund as well as the shortages and overage in cash. Okay? But here, ang kailangan mo munang malaman is ano yan? Once again, no? Ito yung mga cash na sinet aside natin, okay, para meron tayong pambayad ng mga maliliit na expenses natin. Alright? Now, another example is yung tinatawag natin na change fund. Sir, ano yung change fund na yan? Well, kapag sinabi nating change fund, no, these are actually the fund that we set aside, okay, for change. Ibig sabihin, no, ito yung mga panukli natin. Kasi minsan, di ba, okay, na meron tayong mga paninda, nagbabayad ng cash yung mga, okay, customers natin at kailangan natin silang suklian. Okay? Now, another example, no, of cash set aside for current operation is yung tinatawag natin na payroll fund. Because apparently, payroll, no, most likely, hindi papayag yung mga empleyado mo kung hindi mo sila babayaran per month. Kaya sila natawag na current because within a year, babayaran na natin or gagamitin na kasi natin tong mga to eh. And pag sinabi natin payroll or compensation, at most, monthly ang bayaran yan. Magwewelga, no, yung mga empleyado natin kapag hindi mo sila pinasahod after a month. Okay? Now, another example will be what we call the interest fund. Now, kapag sinabi nating interest fund, it's still part, no, of our current purposes because at most, annual yung bayaran ng interest. Minsan nga, monthly, quarterly, or semi-annually, di ba? But at most, annual kasi yan. So, if this is annual, we can expect now, no, na yung cash na sinegregate natin, within a year, magagastos na rin natin yun. Okay? Now, another example of cash set aside for current operation or current purposes is what we call the tax fund. Okay? Now, apparently, kapag sinabi nating taxes, at most, annual din yung bayaran yan. Well, don't get it wrong. Meron tayong mga taxes na binabayaran monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, but at most, ang pinakamatagal na, okay, is annual. Okay? Let's say, for example, income taxation. Annual yun eh. Okay, kung bayaran. Next are what we call the travel fund. Now, kapag sinabi nating travel fund, these are the cash set aside, no, for travel purposes. Sir, ano yan? Mamamasyal yung mga empleyado? Hindi. Okay? Minsan kasi kailangan, okay, nating paliparin or kailangan nating i-sponsor yung paglipad, okay, or pagpunta sa isang lugar ng ating empleyado because merong isang important business matter siyang kailangan attendan doon. So if that will be the case, sometimes para sure na meron tayong panggastos sa mga yun, we set aside cash for travel. Okay? Another example na nasa isip ko is yung tinatawag natin, no, na dividend fund. Kapag sinabi nating dividend fund, these are the fund or the cash set aside for payment of dividends. And most of the time, hindi naman nalalayo eh. Yung date of declaration sa date of payment. Normally, months lang yan. So if that's the case, current operations pa rin to. Alright? Then, meron pang mga ibang bagay maybe, no? Okay, na pwedeng makasama dito. So let's put here, etc. Alright? Now, what are, okay, the cash set aside now for non-current purposes or for non-current operations. Okay? Because apparently, if yung for current operations kasama sa cash, etong mga for non-current operations, lagi mong tatandaan ha, these are excluded from our total cash and cash equivalents. Ibig sabihin, kapag nandito siya sa baba, automatically, no, you have to exclude the same sa ating total cash and cash equivalents. Alright? Now, listen up, guys. Okay, mahalaga to. What are the examples, no, of cash set aside for non-current operations? Okay? Well, kapag sinabi nating non-current operations, see to it, no? Okay? That, okay, famous example here is yung tinatawag natin, no, na plant expansion fund. So, meron tayong tinatawag, no, na plant expansion fund. So, ano yung plant expansion fund na yan? Well, kapag sinabi nating plant expansion fund, these are just the cash that we have set aside for for the plant expansion, meaning to say, no, magpapagawa tayo ng bagong building. So, para sure na meron tayong ibabayad sa contractor, sometimes we are segregating our cash, portion of our cash. Okay? Another example, no, na kailangan mong malaman dito, which is similar to number 1, is the fund for acquisition. No? Again, fund for acquisition of property, plant, and equipment. So, if meron tayong fund na sinet aside or cash na sinet aside, no, pambili ng property, plant, and equipment, automatically, non-current purposes yan or non-current operation, therefore, excluded sa ating total cash and cash equivalent. Number 3 is yung tinatawag naman natin na contingency fund. So, possible din, no? Okay, that we set aside cash for contingency. Anong ibig sabihin ng contingency? For emergency purposes. Alright? Now, another example, no, na pwede nating isama dito is yung tinatawag natin, no, na pension fund or sometimes tinatawag yan na retirement fund. Okay? So, kapag sinabi nating pension fund or retirement fund, these are the cash set aside, no? Again, these are the cash that we have set aside for retirement, payment of retirement or pension. Now, sir, bakit po yan kasama sa non-current operation? Well, kasama yan sa non-current operation because hindi naman tayo palaging agad-agad nagbabayad ng pension or retirement eh. Okay? Normally, pension or retirement will only be paid to our employees after a certain period. Because by law, kailangan muna nilang magstay sa kumpanya for at least 10 years maybe, at a minimum. And then apparently, no, they need to attain a certain age level. Kailangan 55 years old or 60 years old na sila bago sila makapag-retire. Kaya minsan, kailangan muna natin, okay, well, mag-set aside ng pera para soon, kapag dumating yung araw na yon, meron tayong pambayad. Okay? Masaya, no? Again, masaya itong topic na to and soon, i-discuss natin yan pagdating natin ng employee benefits. Okay? Post-employment benefits. Okay? Now, another example, no, here is yung tinatawag natin na insurance fund. Ano naman itong insurance fund na to? Well, kapag sinabi nating insurance fund, ito lang naman yung cash na sinet aside natin pambayad ng insurance. So, if we have set aside cash, no, for payment of insurance, see to it na part pa rin yan ng non-current operation because normally insurance are long-term, therefore excluded sa ating total cash and cash equivalents. Alright, so now, let's move on, no, dun sa mga tinatawag natin na special funds. So, meron akong tinatawag na dalawang special funds because their rules, no, are different from the others. Okay? So, ano ba itong dalawang special funds na to? Well, number 1 is yung tinatawag natin, no, na cash sinking funds. Okay? Now, what are these cash sinking funds na to? Okay? Well, kapag sinabi natin, no, na cash sinking fund, always remember that these are the cash that we have set aside for payment of liabilities. So, sometimes kasi, di ba, umuutang tayo. And, of course, if utang ito, kailangan natin yung bayaran. So, para sure na meron tayong pambayad ng utang, we set aside cash. And yung cash na sinet aside natin, no, pambayad sa mga utang na to, is yung tinatawag natin na cash sinking fund. Okay? Now, what's the second special fund? Yun yung tinatawag natin, no, na preference shares. Again, meron tayong tinatawag na preference shares, redemption fund. Redemption funds. Okay? So, ano tong mga preference shares, redemption funds na to? Well, kapag sinabi naman natin na preference share redemption funds, these are the fund that we set aside. Again, these are the cash that we have set aside for the redemption of the redeemable preference shares. Now, if you can still remember my discussion a while ago, no? Sinulat ko dito na kapag meron tayong redeemable preference shares, hindi natin yun sinasama sa ating total shareholders' equity. But instead, anong sabi ko sa inyo kanina? Sabi ko sa inyo kanina, kay redeemable preference shares are actually included sa ating total liabilities. So, para sure na meron tayong pambayad sa mga utang na to, sometimes we set aside cash. That's why almost the same lang itong dalawang to. Pag sinabi natin cash sinking fund, sabi natin, di ba? Cash set aside for payment of liabilities. Preference share redemption fund or the cash set aside for payment of liabilities pa rin kasi liability to, di ba? So in a sense, pareho lang sila. Now, bakit sila special? Because kakaiba yung rule nila. What's the rule with regard to these funds? Okay? Listen very well. The classification, again, the rule here is that the classification, okay, of cash is parallel, again, is, okay, parallel to, okay, the classification, again, to the classification of the related, again, of the related liability. Now, anong ibig sabihin yan? Well, ang ibig lang naman sabihin yan is that whatever, okay, is the classification of the liability, okay, kung para saan natin sinet aside yung mga cash, that will automatically be the classification of our cash. Meaning to say now, no, if, okay, nag-set aside tayo ng cash for a liability and that liability is classified as a current liability, automatically, okay, the cash is also current. Again, the cash is also current, okay, in classification. So, since its classification is current and cash, alam naman natin current talaga yan, see to it, no, that it is now part of our total cash and cash equivalent. In short, if the classification of the related liability is current, the cash set aside for payment of the same is included, no, again, is included, okay, sa ating total cash and cash equivalents. Alright? Now, what if, okay, the related liability, again, what if, no, the related liability is a non-current liability. Nag-set aside tayo ng pera or ng cash, pambayad, no, ng isang non-current liability. So, if we set aside cash for payment of non-current liabilities, see to it, no, that the cash or the classification of cash will follow or will be the same. Ibig sabihin, the cash will also be classified as non-current. So, this time, meron na tayong konting problema. Sir, ano yun? Well, alam natin na yung cash and cash equivalent natin, part yan ng ating current assets as mentioned a while ago. So, if the classification of cash this time that we have set aside is non-current, hindi mo na ngayon pwedeng isama to, no, sa ating total cash and cash equivalent. In short, the cash set aside for payment of a non-current liability is excluded from our total cash and cash equivalents. Okay? So, ulitin ko lang. Sa dalawang to, once again, no, the rule is that the classification of cash is parallel to the classification of the related liability. So, if the classification of the related liability is current, the cash is also current and therefore part of our total cash and cash equivalent. But, if the liability is non-current, automatically the cash is also non-current, and if that's the case, it is now excluded from our total cash and cash equivalents. Okay? Now, what if the problem is silent? Ibig sabihin, the problem did not mention whether, okay, yung cash na sinet aside natin is for payment of a current liability or non-current liability. Anong gagawin natin? Well, if that will be the case wherein the problem is silent, we will assume that the related liability is a non-current liability. And if the related liability is a non-current liability, automatically now, the cash is non-current and therefore excluded from our total cash and cash equivalents. So that is Soria Notes number 3. Okay? So hopefully, no, nakakasunod ka pa. Okay? Now, punta ngayon tayo sa ating Soria Notes number 4. Soria Notes number 4 are about our compensating balance. Okay? Again, Soria Notes number 4 is about compensating balance. Okay? Now, kapag sinabi natin compensating balance, this is one of the covenants, okay, of the borrower with, okay, the lender. Because sometimes, kapag umuutang tayo sa bangko, the bank is asking us to maintain a certain cash balance, no, sa same bank na yon. So let's say, for example, umutang ako ng 1 million kay Metrobank. Sometimes, as part of their, rules, as part of the agreement between the borrower and the lender, yung borrower ngayon, kailangan niya mag-maintain ng certain portion ng inutang niya dun sa bank na yon. And that maintaining balance is actually what we call the compensating balance. Alright? So, anong rules? Ano yung mga rules pagdating sa compensating balance? Well, tignan mo muna if the compensating balance is formal or informal. Because if it is formal, it means that it is legally restricted. Again, if the agreement is formal, then the assumption is that it is legally restricted as to withdrawal. Okay? So, if it is legally restricted as to withdrawal, hindi mo yan mawi-withdraw. And if it is legally restricted, it means that it is no longer unrestricted. Now, remember the rules before an item can be considered cash a while ago. Anong sinabi ko sa inyo? Sabi ko sa inyo kanina, before an item, no, can be considered as cash, dapat unrestricted siya. It should be unrestricted. Tama ba? So, if it is legally restricted as to withdrawal, automatically, you can no longer consider it as unrestricted. So, if that's the case, no, we will now exclude the same from our total cash and cash equivalents. So, excluded yan ha sa ating total cash and cash equivalents. Okay? But, if the agreement is informal, again, if the agreement, no, is only informal, ibig sabihin ng informal, it is not legally, again, it's not legally restricted, okay, as to withdrawal, then, apparently, okay, kayang-kaya natin yung i-withdraw anytime. Tama ba? So, if kaya natin yung i-withdraw anytime, we consider it as unrestricted, and if it is unrestricted, see to it, no, that it is now part of our cash and cash equivalents. So, included siya, no, sa ating cash and cash equivalents. Okay? Now, listen up. Minsan, tinatanong din to sa theory question and even sa mga problems. See to it, no, that if the agreement is formal, once again, legally restricted. Kapag legally restricted, hindi na siya kasama sa total cash and cash equivalent natin. Pero, take note, asset pa rin yan. Cash pa rin yan. Tama ba? So, saan natin ngayon siya isasama? Well, the classification of cash is still parallel to the classification of the related liability. So, anong ibig sabihin nun? Let's say, for example, umutang ka sa bangko. Yung utang mo, ang classification niya is current. So, if yung classification ng utang mo is current, then, kasama, no, okay, yung cash na sinet aside natin sa other current assets natin. Okay? Now, if the classification of the liability is non-current, then, yung cash na sinegregate natin dito, part ng ating non-current asset. Okay? Pero mag-a-apply lang yon kapag legally restricted. Kapag not legally restricted, whether the liability is current or non-current, no, kahit pa non-current yan, automatically part yan ng cash. Bakit? Because wala namang restriction with regard to the withdrawal. Ibig sabihin, anytime, pwedeng-pwede mo pa rin namang i-withdraw yung mga yon. Alright? Now, after compensating balance, punta ngayon tayo, no, dito sa ating SORIA notes number 5. What is SORIA notes number 5? Well, SORIA notes number 5 is yung tinatawag natin, no, na undelivered. Again, meron tayong tinatawag na undelivered or unreleased checks. Okay? Now, kapag sinabi nating undelivered or unreleased checks, see to it, no, okay, that these are the checks, okay, that we did not yet deliver to the payee. So, let's say, for example lang, okay, before the pandemic, umutang sa'yo yung kaibigan mo. So, yung kaibigan mo, umutang siya sa'yo, no, ng 1,000 pesos. Now, nagkaroon ng pandemic. Anong meron ng pandemic? Nung pandemic, di ba, bawal lumabas. Okay, bawal lumabas unless ayusin mo yung loan ng classroom nyo. Kapag ganon, ay pwede na pala ikaw lumabas. Char lang. Okay, kalimutan mo yan. Now, ang point ko lang dito, no, is that nung pandemic, bawal lumabas. So, tinawagan ka ngayon nung kaibigan mo. Anong sabi sa'yo nung kaibigan mo? Yo, pare, thank you, no, for spotting me, okay, last week or nung last month, okay, nung uminom tayo. Thank you, no, okay, for lending me 1,000 pesos, pare. Sabi niya ganun, no? Okay, yo, pare, meron na akong 1,000. I have here 1,000 pesos already in my pocket. Sabi niya ganun sa'yo. Kaso, pare, bawal lumabas eh. Okay, yun yung sabi niya sa'yo, no? Pare, bawal lumabas. So, I will hold muna, no, this 1,000 peso here sa pocket ko. Pero, pare, bayad na ako sa'yo kasi meron na akong 1,000 dito. Yun yung sabi niya. Ngayon, payag ka ba? Again, payag ka ba? Okay, na yung kaibigan mong yon, okay, na medyo konyo, okay, I'm not here not to offend any konyo, okay, I love konyos, okay, by the way, okay, but, okay, here, my point is, kapag tinawagan ka ng friend mo, sabi niya, bayad na siya, payag ka ba? Of course not. Tama ba? Hindi pa. Hindi mo pa hawak yung pera eh. Tama ba? So, same thing here. Kahit na nagsulat ka na ng cheque, again, no? Kahit na nagsulat ka na ng cheque, if yung cheque na sinulat mo, hindi mo pa naman binibigay doon sa kung sino man yung babayaran mo, hindi pa to kino-consider as payment. So, this is not yet considered as payment. Maliwanag ba? But instead, since it's not yet considered as payment, it's now part still of our total cash and cash equivalents. So, included ngayon yan, no, sa ating total cash and cash equivalents. Kasama pa rin yan, sa atin pa rin yan. Because, kayang-kaya mo pa rin namang punitin eh. Tama ba? Yang checking yan. Hanggat hindi pa na-deliver. Now, hear me out. Okay? Sometimes, upon writing the check, no? Okay? Upon writing the check, automatically, okay, the company is recording the same. Okay? So, if after writing, the check was recorded, ano kaya yung journal entry na ginawa dito? Yung journal entry na ginawa dito is debit. Let's say, for example, no, accounts payable, and then credit cash. So, as you can see, pagkasulat pa lang ng cheque, ni-record na, binawasan na agad-agad yung cash natin kasi kinredit, no, yung cash natin. Now, take note, this journal entry is wrong. Bakit yan mali? Because sabi ko nga sa inyo, hindi porket sinulat mo na yung cheque, payment na yon. It will only be considered as a payment once you delivered it to the payee. Pero hanggat hindi mo pa yan dinideliver sa payee, hindi pa yan considered as payment. Maliwanag ba? So, for that reason, kailangan mo ngayong i-correct yan. So, what will now be our correcting entry? Again, ano ngayon? Yung ating magiging correcting entry, okay, kapag ginawa itong journal entry na to. Okay, well, binawasan yung cash natin, di ba? So, we have to increase our cash account. Paano natin may increase ang cash? Cash can be increased being an asset, no, by debiting it. So, we will debit cash. I-add back natin yan sa ating total cash and cash equivalents. Okay? Then, apparently, we will re-establish the liability account if it is a liability account. In short, i-reverse mo lang naman, no, itong journal entry na to. Kasi malito eh. Hindi porket sinulat na natin yung cheque once again, meron ng payment. Okay? Until the check is delivered to the payee, we will not consider that as payment. And for that reason, dapat sa atin pa yung cash na yan. So, if binawasan na yung cash natin, i-add back lang ngayon natin yun by debiting cash. Okay? So, that is Soria Notes number 5. Okay? So, burahin ko muna ulit para may susulatan pa tayo, no, nung other Soria Notes. By the way, pwede mong i-skip itong portion na to na nagbubura ako, no? Pero, pwede mo rin gamitin to, no, as a rest. Okay? Pwedeng ano, huminga ka muna habang nagbubura ako. Tama? Alright. Now, after Sorianotes number 5, no, punta ngayon tayo here sa ating Sorianotes number 6. So, what is Sorianotes number 6? Sorianotes number 6 is about post-dated checks. Again, Sorianotes number 6 is about post-dated checks. Okay? So, ano itong mga post-dated checks na to? Well, kapag sinabi nating post-dated checks, these are the checks issued, and delivered. Ibig sabihin, no, nasa kamay na to nung payee, but apparently, no, the same is dated sometime in the future. Ibig sabihin ngayon, okay, it's just a piece of paper because, okay, hindi mo yan mapapa-encash eh. Okay? Because as a rule, bago mo mapa-encash ang isang cheque sa bangko, kailangan, no, yung date na nakalagay dyan, tama. Okay? And it should be dated today or in the past. Okay? So, let's say, for example, i-issuean kita ng cheque. So, nag-issue ako ng cheque sa'yo, but the same is dated, no? Okay? February 14, 2028. So, kailangan mo pang hintayin yung date na yon, which is Feb 14, 2028, bago mo mapapalit yung cheque. So, hanggat hindi pa dumarating, no, yung araw na yon, yung cheque na hawak mo, hindi pa rin natin siya kino-consider as a valid check. Okay? So, ibig sabihin ngayon, a post-dated check is not cash. It is just a piece of paper. So, here, ang gusto kong tignan mo, no, is kung sino ba, okay, ang nag-deliver niyan, okay, or kung tayo ba yung recipient niyan or tayo ba yung sender, okay, or issuer. Now, kapag sinabi nating post-dated check delivered, again, no, kapag sinabi natin, no, na post-dated check delivered, ang ibig sabihin lang naman yan, tayo yung nag-issue ng cheque. Okay? So, kung tayong nag-issue ng cheque at hindi pa yan pwedeng ipapalit nung payee, a post-dated check delivered now is still part of our total cash and cash equivalents. So, included pa rin ito sa ating total cash and cash equivalents. Maliwanag ba? Now, ang problema dito, ang problema dito, no, if upon delivery, okay, nag-record si company. Okay, if upon delivery, okay, nag-record si company, ano kaya yung recorded journal entry? Well, obviously, the recorded journal entry here maybe, no, is we debit a liability account. So, debit liability, and then credit cash. Kasi dineliver na natin eh. But take note, this journal entry is once again wrong. Bakit mali to? This is wrong because apparently, even if you deliver a post-dated check, that cannot be considered as payment as well. Bakit? Because kailangan pang hintayin, okay, nung payee na dumating yung araw kung anong date nyo nakasulat dun sa cheque, bago niya yan maipapalit. So, for that reason now, kailangan nating gumawa ng correcting entry here. So, what will be, no, our correcting journal entry? So, our correcting journal entry here is i-add back natin yung cash. Again, i-add back natin yung cash, no? Then, apparently, we will re-establish or credit the liability account. Because ito yung tatandaan mo. Kapag sinabi nating post-dated check delivered, dapat sa atin pa yan, tayo pang may-ari niyan. So, bawal mo muna yan or wag mo muna yan tanggalin sa ating total cash. So, just in case natanggal man, just in case na-deduct na, kailangan mo lang naman siyang i-add back. Okay? Now, what if itong post-dated check na to, hindi naman tayo yung nag-deliver eh. But instead, tayong naka-receive. What if it is a post-dated check received? So just like what I have said a while ago, no, see to it that a post-dated check is just a piece of paper. Hindi pa talaga yan valid check. It is not immediately available for use, and for that reason, hindi siya kasama sa total cash and cash equivalent natin. Okay? So if tayong naka-receive neto, see to it, no, na hindi yan part ng cash and cash equivalent natin. Excluded yan from our total cash and cash equivalent. Now, ang problema dito, sometimes, upon receipt, again, sometimes, no, upon receipt, nagkakaroon ng journal entry. Ibig sabihin, upon receipt, the company recorded, okay, the transaction. Ano kaya ni-record niya? Okay, naka-receive siya ng cheque. So, nag-debit siya ng cash, probably. So, if it is, okay, a payment for a certain receivable, magki-credit yan ng receivable account. But take note, anong sabi ko sa inyo kanina? A post-dated check received is not yet ours. Hindi pa natin yan pera. Bakit? Kasi hindi naman natin yan may papapalit sa bangko eh. So, itong journal entry ngayon na ginawa ng company is wrong. Again, this journal entry is wrong. So, if it is wrong, what will now be our correcting entry? Again, ano ngayon yung ating magiging correcting entry? So, see to it that our correcting entry now is to re-establish the receivable account. And since nadagdag yun sa cash natin, dapat hindi. Bawasan mo ngayon yung ating cash. So, credit, cash. Okay? So, once again, anong dapat tandaan? Sa Sorianotes number 6, if it is a post-dated check delivered, part yan ng total cash and cash equivalents natin. If it is a post-dated check received, see to it no, na hindi dapat yan part ng ating total cash and cash equivalents. Okay? So, that is Sorianotes number 6. Okay? Now, after Sorianotes number 6, punta ngayon tayo dito sa ating Sorianotes number 7. Sorianotes number 7 are actually about stale checks naman. Okay? So, anong ibig sabihin ng stale checks? Well, kapag sinabi natin stale checks, these are the checks not encashed within 6 months. So, according to our Philippine law, okay, see to it, no, that upon receiving a check, meron ka lang 6 na buwan para ipapalit yun sa bangko. Okay? So, kapag hindi mo yun pinapalit within 6 months, automatically, wala nang value yung cheque na hawak mo. It will be converted to just a piece of paper na kahit maglupasay ka sa bangko, hindi na yan papalitan pa. So, if that will be the case, no, a stale check now is considered to be an invalid check. Okay? So, dalawa ulit ang senaryo dito. It may be a stale check delivered and then later on, no, possible na stale check receive ito. Start muna tayo sa delivered. So, if it is a stale check delivered, see to it, no, na kapag hindi yan pinapalit nung payee within 6 months, hindi na niya yan may papapalit pa. Tama ba? So, for that reason, babalik na yan sa atin. Ibig sabihin ngayon, stale check delivered should be part of our total cash and cash equivalent. So, this is included sa ating total cash and cash equivalents. Okay? So, what will be the journal entry kapag, okay, nag-deliver tayo ng cheque tapos na-stale siya? Well, tignan mo muna if the amount, again, tignan mo muna, no, if the amount is material or immaterial. Okay? So, if the amount is material, we can expect, no, that the payee will go back to us. Babalik sa atin yung payee. Sasabihin niya, pare, sorry okay, wala akong oras, busy ako, okay, hindi ko napapalit agad yung cheque. So, if that will be the case, okay, hihingi yan ng panibagong cheque at kailangan natin siyang issuean ng bagong cheque. Tama ba? So, hanggat hindi dumarating yung araw na bumalik, okay, yung ating payee, see to it, no, na as of okay, this moment of time, as of this time, receivable muna yan. So here, we will debit receivable. Why? Because once again, no, okay, not receivable, okay, we will debit cash pala kasi bumalik sa atin yung cash. And then apparently, may receivable na ine-expect, okay, merong receivable yung ating payee na ine-expect nating bumalik. Kasi if material yung amount, once again, no, ulitin ko lang, dapat ang expectation natin yung payee, babalik to sa atin at maniningil ulit to. So if that's the case, we need to establish a liability account. Okay? So if the amount is material, we debit cash kasi sa atin na ulit to, hindi na yan may papapalit pa ni payee then we credit liability. I-re-establish natin yung liability account because if the amount is material, we can expect the payee to go back to us. Okay? But if the amount is just immaterial, again, if the amount, no, is just immaterial, well, we still debit cash kasi sa atin pa rin yan. But, if the amount is immaterial, wag mo nang i-expect, wag mo nang asahan na babalik pa yung payee. If immaterial lang yan, hahayaan na lang yan ng payee. So, if wala na tayong expectation, no, na may babayaran pa tayo soon, we will credit this now to an income account. Normally, we credit it to miscellaneous income or other income. Okay? So, those are the rules with regard to stale check delivered. Okay? So, after stale check delivered, punta ngayon tayo sa second scenario. What is the second scenario? The second scenario is yung tinatawag naman natin na stale check received. Paano kapag tayo naman yung nag-receive ng cheque at tayo yung tinamad na magpapalit sa bangko? Tinamad tayo kasi 6 na buwan na yung lumilipas, hindi pa natin na ipapapalit eh. Okay? So if that's the case, hindi na natin yan maipapapalit pa, so it's no longer part of our total cash and cash equivalents. It means that it should be excluded from our total cash and cash equivalents. Okay? Now, apparently here, kapag kaganyan, tignan mo muna ulit, okay, if material or not. Pero normally kapag kaganyan, no, okay, ang expectation natin, babawiin pa rin natin yan. That's why the journal entry normally here is with debit receivable. Again, with debit receivable, kasi ang expectation, no, ipapapalit natin yung cheque doon sa nag-issue kasi, well, mukha tayong pera eh. Okay? Kahit kasalanan natin, ipapapalit natin yung cheque. Then apparently, since hindi na yan part ng cash natin, bawasan mo ngayon yung ating cash. So we credit cash. Okay? So these are the rules with regard to Soria Notes number 7. Stale checks. Once again, stale checks delivered is part of our cash and cash equivalents. Stale check received are not part of our total cash and cash equivalents. Okay? Now, punta tayo no, dito sa ating Soria Notes number 8. What is Soria Notes number 8? Soria Notes number 8 are actually the other items. Other items not part of cash. Again, these are the other items no, na hindi natin sinasama sa ating total cash and cash equivalent. So, hindi kasama tong mga to. These items, once again, are not part of our cash and cash equivalents. These are excluded, okay, in our computation. So, ano tong mga to? Okay? What are these? Number 1 is yung tinatawag natin na postage stamps. Okay? So, ano tong mga postage stamps na to? Well, kapag sinabi nating postage stamps, ito lang naman, no, yung mga, okay, dinidikit natin doon sa envelope. Let's say, for example, here, no, meron tayong envelope, nagpapadala tayo ng sulat. Ito yung mga dinidikit natin dito, no, okay, na binibili sa post office. Okay? Now, I believe, no, if ako, hindi ko na na-experience to, mas lalo naman siguro kayo. Okay? So, nowadays, hindi na uso to eh. Nung panahon kasi ng mga nanay natin, ng mga tatay natin, normally, okay, the way on how they can communicate to each other, how can they express their love to each other is through love letters. Tayo kasi may Facebook na, may iMessage na, tama ba? So, ibig sabihin, hindi na natin to na-experience, okay? Now, apparently, let's say for example, bumibili ka ng fishball. Bibili ka ng fishball, no? Pwede mo bang sabihin doon sa nagtitinda ng fishball, Kuya, pabili po ng fishball. Okay? Ito po bayad. Ang tawag po dyan, postage stamps. Okay? Pwede mo bang sabihin, Kuya, yung mga postage stamps po na yan, pwede nyo po yung gamitin pag magpapadala po kayo ng sulat. Tingin mo, yung nagtitinda ng fishball, tatanggapin ba yung mga postage stamps mo? Of course not. Hindi niya yung tatanggapin. So for that reason now, postage stamps, obviously, are not part of our cash. Kasi hindi mo yan pwedeng ipambayad eh. So, saan natin ito isasama? Postage stamps are actually part of our supplies. And as we all know, supplies are part of our prepayments. Okay? Apparently, no, these postage stamps will be expense. Again, these postage stamps will be expense once consumed. Okay? So, kapag ginamit mo na, no, or used rather, Once used, automatically, no, magiging expense na yung mga yan. Okay? Now, what are the other items na hindi kasama sa cash? The other items are yung tinatawag natin, no, na IOUs from employees or yung tinatawag natin na advances from employees. Okay? Now, advances to employees rather. IOUs from employees, advances to employees. Okay? Now, kapag sinabi nating IOUs from employees, ito lang naman, no? Okay, yung mga pinautang natin sa ating mga empleyado. Kasi minsan, no, hindi pa naman oras ng kanilang sweldo, gusto na nilang kunin yung sweldo nila kasi maybe kailangan nila ng pera eh. So, kapag pinautang natin yung mga empleyado natin, obviously, no, okay, those are what we call the advances to employees. IOUs, literal yan na I-O-U. Wala yang ibig sabihin, hindi yan acronym. Okay? So, since yung pera, wala na sa control natin na kanino na yung pera. Nasa kamay na ng ating mga empleyado, IOUs from employees now are part of our total receivable. So, hindi yan part ng cash ha, part yan ng ating receivables. Okay? Number 3. Number 3 is yung tinatawag natin, no, na NSF or DAIF. Okay? Checks received. Okay? Now, kapag meron tayong NSF, no, or DAIF, check received, ano muna yung NSF or DAIF? Well, kapag sinabi natin NSF, it only means no sufficient fund check. DAIF means drawn against insufficient fund. Yan yung tipo bang naka-receive tayo ng cheque, kaso tumalbog. Bakit tumalbog? Walang laman or kulang yung laman, okay, nung bangko or nung account ni payee. So, if naka-receive tayo ng ganyan, again ha, if naka-receive tayo ng ganyan as a general rule, again, as a general rule, hindi yan part ha, ng ating total cash and cash equivalents. These are excluded from our total cash and cash equivalents. Okay? But, take note that as an exception to the general rule, wherein, kapag pumasok siya sa exception, ha, okay, by now, dapat alam mo na kapag sinulat kong XPN, exception yan. Shortcut lang. Okay? No. As an exception to the general rule wherein, we can still include it to our total cash and cash equivalents. Kailan yan? Okay? The exception is when the NSF check was redeposited. Again, if the NSF check, no, was redeposited in the same period. Okay? Ang ibig sabihin, no, let's say for example, okay, this is the payee. Okay? This is the issuer rather. This is the issuer. May utang siya sa atin. So, nagbigay siya ng cheque sa atin. Tayo to. Now, pumunta tayo sa bangko. Okay? This is the bank. Okay? Binigay natin yung cheque. Kaso, tumalbog. Anong gagawin ng bangko? Ibabalik yan ng bangko sa atin. Siyempre, ibabalik natin yan dun sa nagkakautang sa atin. Now, kapag ganyan lang yung nangyari, okay, excluded yan sa total cash. Kasi wala naman tayong na-receive na pera eh. Pero kapag binalik natin yan dun sa nag-issue sa atin, pinalitan niya ng bago. And then, yung bagong binigay niya sa atin, nire-deposit natin sa bank. Okay, and sabi ng bank, okay na. Okay, may laman na yung, okay, may laman na yung account ng payee. So, kapag kaganon, na-redeposit, no, yung cheque in the same period or in the same accounting period, lagay ko, no, para hindi ka malito, in the same accounting period, see to it na magiging valid yung cheque, and for that reason, this is now part of our total cash and cash equivalent. So, common mistake ng mga bata, akala nila, kapag meron tayong NSF or DAIF check, automatically excluded yan. Well, that is just the general rule. Once again, as an exception to the general rule, if the same was redeposited in the same accounting period, take note na kasama pa rin yan, isasama pa rin natin yan sa ating total cash and cash equivalents. Okay? So that is NSF or DAIF checks received. Alright? Now, punta tayo sa pang-apat. What is the fourth one? The fourth one are what we call the travel advances. Okay? So, kapag may nakita kang travel advances, take note na hindi na yan part ng ating cash. Sir, bakit po? Because apparently, nasa kamay na yan eh. Again, nasa kamay na yan ng ating mga empleyado. Okay? So kung nasa kamay na yan ng ating mga empleyado, ibig sabihin ngayon, hindi na sa atin yan, wala na tayong control dyan. So, anong rule sa travel advances? Well, itong mga travel advances na to, part yan ng ating expenses if we don't expect the employees na i-reimburse pa itong mga to. So, if hindi naman natin inaasahan yung mga employee na i-reimburse tayo or i-deduct natin yan sa kanilang sweldo, expense yan. Apparently, this is considered to be a receivable if merong reimbursement or merong salary deduction na mangyayari. So, let's say, for example, no, nag-advance ka ng pera, 10,000 sa empleyado mo. Ang expectation, i-reimburse yun sa atin ng employee natin or i-deduct natin yun sa sweldo niya. If that's the case, yung travel advances, isasama natin no, sa ating total receivables. But still, hindi siya part ng ating total cash and cash equivalents. Alright? Then the fifth one no, is yung tinatawag natin na cash in closed banks. Okay? So kapag meron tayong pera, okay, sa isang bangko na nagsara na, see to it no, that can no longer be part of our total cash and cash equivalents. So hindi na yun part ha ng ating total cash and cash equivalents. So if that will be the case, again, if that will be the case, see to it na dapat alam mo saan to kasama. Saan natin yan isasama? Isasama natin yan sa ating total receivables. Again ha, isasama natin yan sa ating total receivables. Maliwanag ba yun? Alright. Now, kailangan alam mo no, itong 8 SORYA notes na to because apparently, sabi ko nga sa inyo kanina, no, most of the time, ang mga tanungan dito is how much is the total cash and cash equivalents or how much is the correct amount of cash. So if that's the case, kailangan alam mo kung anong gagawin mo. Kailangan alam mo kung anong treatment ng item na to at kung ano yung gagawin mo. Therefore, punta ngayon tayo sa ating SORYA notes number 9. SORYA notes number 9 will be the procedures na kailangan mong gawin. Okay, kapag meron kang problems na sinasagutan about cash. Because common mistake of students, akala nila, porket dapat included sa cash, lagi nang ina-add. Porket dapat excluded the cash, sa cash, dapat lagi nang mina-minus. Hindi ganun. Okay? So dito, tignan mo what is the correct treatment. Whether the correct treatment no, is that it should be included or excluded. Dalawa lang naman yan eh. Now, the correct treatment is already discussed no, a while ago. Na-discuss na natin hanggang SORYA notes 8. Now here, titingnan mo ano yung ginawa ni company. Again, ano ba yung ginawa ni company dito? Did the company included the same sa kanyang total cash and cash equivalents or yung company in-exclude naman niya? Okay? Baka kasi in-exclude naman niya. Now, hear me out. If the company included an item in its total cash and cash equivalents and the correct treatment is that it should be included, take note na wala ka nang kailangan gawin because the cash is said to be properly included. Ibig sabihin ng properly included, tama lang na naka-add siya. So wala kang gagawin ha. Hindi porket alam mo na yung correct treatment is dapat included, lagi ka nang nag-a-add. Tignan mo muna, baka naman naka-include na. So kapag naka-include na, once again, it is already properly included. So wala ka nang kailangan gawin pa. Okay? Now, sir, kailan tayo nag-a-add dito? Nag-a-add lang tayo if the correct treatment is included, but the company excluded the same sa kanyang total cash and cash equivalent. So, this is the only time na nag-a-add tayo sa computation. Kasi yung mga bata, masyadong excited eh. Alam nila na included dapat, so nag-a-add sila agad-agad. No. Okay, take note na mag-a-add lang tayo if the company excluded it from the total or from its total cash and cash equivalents. Okay? Now, if the correct treatment is dapat excluded, then yung company in-include niya, well, tama lang na dapat ibawas natin yon. Kasi if yung correct treatment excluded, then sinama yon or in-include yun ng company, kailangan talaga natin yung tanggalin. Now, apparently, if the correct treatment is excluded and the company excluded it at hindi naman niya sinama. If that's the case, huwag ka na magbawas because it is properly excluded. Ibig sabihin, tama na hindi siya kasama. Tama na naka-deduct siya. So if that will be the case, no, okay, wag ka nang nagma-minus pa ulit. Kasi kapag nag-minus ka ulit, madodoble yung pagkaka-exclude niya. So as you can see, hindi tayo laging nagpa-plus, hindi rin tayo laging nagma-minus. Tignan mo muna if ano yung ginawa ng company. So that is SORYA notes number 9. Alright? Now, before we go to the next SORYA notes, erase ko muna ulit kung ano yung nakasulat sa board. Okay? Alright, now, punta tayo sa SORYA notes number 10. SORYA notes number 10 are about the frauds, okay, that can be committed, possible frauds that can be committed with regard to our cash account. Well, kailangan nating malaman, itong mga frauds na to para alam natin paano sila i-correct. Okay? Now, the first possible fraud na pwede mong ma-encounter sa mga problems is yung tinatawag natin na kiting. So, nung meron sa kiting, I believe, lahat tayo na-experience naman ng magsaranggola. Okay? Now, kapag sinabi natin kiting, kakailanganin mo ng dalawang bank account. Again, here, kailangan mo ng dalawang bank account. Okay? So, let's say, for example, meron ka ditong account kay BPI, then meron ka din ditong account kay BDO. Now, yung balance nito, sabihin na natin equal to 1,000 pesos, 1 million, sige, para mas makatotohanan. Yung balance mo naman kay BDO is equal to 800,000 pesos. Now, apparently, itong certain employee natin, again, this certain employee, kailangan niya ng pera. Bakit kailangan niya ng pera? Well, wala siyang pang-date, anniversary na ng kanyang, anniversary na nila ng kanyang jowa. So, if that's the case, anong ginawa niya? Anong gagawin niya? Magnanakaw ngayon siya dito ng 50,000 pesos. So apparently, kapag nagnakaw siya dito ng 50,000, magkano na lang yung balance? 950,000 na lang. Tama ba? Now apparently, okay, at the end of the year, magpiprepare tayo ng FS. Maliwanag? Mauhuli siya if wala siyang gagawin. So anong gagawin niya? Ang gagawin ngayon, mag-withdraw siya dito ng 50K. Okay? And then, yung 50K na yon, okay, na winidraw niya kay BDO, ang gagawin niya, is ipapasok niya yon kay BPI. So, magkakaroon ng 50K kay BPI, so back to 1 million na tayo. Now, hear me out. Okay, sir? Hindi ba mahuhuli pa rin po siya dyan kasi binawasan niya yung BDO? Well, apparently, ganito kasi yan. Sa bangko, okay, see to it, na kapag nag-deposit ka ng cash, automatically real-time yan. Ibig sabihin, pag nag-deposit tayo ng cash, itong 50K na to, papasok siya agad-agad. So, ang makikitang balance as of December 31 is 1 million. Okay? Now, apparently, pagdating naman sa withdrawal, especially, if it is a check withdrawal, may cut-off tayo. Anong ibig sabihin ng cut-off? Ang ibig sabihin yan, kapag issue ka ng cheque at in-issue mo yon, let's say for example, mga alas 3 na, yung bawat bangko may kanya-kanyang cut-off time Alas 3 na ng December 29, automatically, marirecord lang yon, again, marirecord lang to pagdating ng January 2. Because apparently, okay, if alas 3 na to ng December 29, lagpas na siya sa cut-off. So, hindi na siya marirecord ng bank. Then apparently, December 30, 31, okay, January 1, okay, our holidays, ibig sabihin, January 2 na yan, marirecord. So, as of December 31 ngayon, magkano yung lalabas na balance? 800K pa rin. So, it's as if walang nangyaring nakawan. Tama ba? It's as if hindi nagnakaw yung employee natin kasi naka 1 million to, tapos ito naka 800. In short, kapag meron tayong kiting, kapag may nangyaring kiting, our cash is actually understated. Again, ang cash natin, no? Understated. And for that reason, kailangan mo tong i-correct by increasing the same. Okay? Now, punta tayo sa pangalawa. What's the second one? Yung pangalawa, yun yung tinatawag natin, no, na window dressing. Again, yung pangalawa is yung tinatawag naman natin na window dressing. Now, ano namang ibig sabihin ng window dressing? Well, kapag sinabi nating window dressing, ganito muna yan. Okay? Every time we prepare financial statements, always remember na meron lang tayong cut-off date. Okay? What's our cut-off date? Our cut-off date is December 31. Ibig sabihin, lahat lang nung nangyari or lahat lang ng transactions na nangyari from January 1 to December 31 ang dapat nakasama sa FS natin. Okay? Or dun sa FS na ginagawa natin. All events, all transactions that will occur after December 31 will now be included sa next accounting period natin. Maliwanag? Now, let's say for example, yung company natin o yung company na pinag-uusapan natin sa problem, meron siyang parang program na kinommunicate sa mga empleyado niya. Ano yung program na yon? Sabi niya sa mga empleyado niya, kapag yung mga employees, no, okay, nakabenta sila ng 1 million pesos worth of goods or worth of products, makaka-receive sila ng bonus. Okay? Now, isipin natin or imaginein natin to. Let's say for example, December 31, nakaka-980 pa lang sila. So if December 31 na, nakaka-980 pa lang sila, kulang ngayon sila ng 20,000. So ano ngayong gagawin nila? Normally, ang gagawin nila, no, is i-record nila yung mga transaction na nangyari after December 31 na as if nangyari sila, okay, during the calendar period that we are talking about right now. Ibig sabihin ngayon, okay, it's as if ina-advance nila yung recording ng mga transactions. That's why here, in window dressing, most of the time, the cash, again, most of the time here, no, the cash is overstated. But let's not eliminate the idea that the cash here might also be, no, again, might also be understated. Okay? Baka kasi ang nangyari, okay, in advance natin yung recording ng payment of a liability. Pwede rin yun. If that's the case, magiging under yung cash eh. But most of the time, here in window dressing, cash is overstated. Alright? Now, what is the third fraud na pwedeng mangyari dito? The third fraud na pwedeng mangyari dito, no, is yung tinatawag naman natin na lapping. Again, meron din tayong tinatawag, no, na lapping. Now, kapag sinabi nating lapping, this is actually just, okay, the suspension of the recording of a payment. So, let's say, for example, merong 3 taong nagkakautang sa'yo. Okay, si Aya, may utang siya na 1 million. Okay, si Colette, may utang din siyang 1 million. And then, sabihin na natin si Mika, may utang din siyang 1 million. Okay? Now, apparently, si Aya, nagbayad siya. Sabihin na natin on Feb 14. So, nagbayad si Aya. Magkano binayad ni Aya? 1 million. Kaso, hindi natin yan ni-record. Ibig sabihin, no, walang recording na nangyari, okay, nung Feb 14. Anong nangyari? Binulsa nung mga empleyado natin, no, yung 1 million. Now, apparently, on April 2, nagbabayad si Colette. Now, apparently, the payment of Colette here, again, the payment of Colette will be recorded. Again, it will be recorded, but take note, it will be recorded as if it's a payment, okay, of Aya. Ibig sabihin ngayon, it's as if yung binayad ni Colette, bayad talaga yun ni Aya. So, ano ngayon yung hindi naka-record? Ang hindi naka-record ngayon is yung kay Colette. And same thing, kapag nagbayad si Mika, hindi natin i-record yun as if hindi natin yung nire-record yun as collection from Mika. It's as if it's a collection coming from Colette. Ibig sabihin, pinopostpone natin, sinususpend natin yung pag-record natin ng collection so that maitago natin yung ginawa nating fraud. Okay? So, here in lapping now, see to it, no, that cash is understated. Okay? Why? Because apparently, hindi tayo nag-record ng collection. Alright? So, those are the 3 possible frauds, no, na pwede mong ma-encounter dito sa cash and cash equivalents natin. Alright? Now, ano naman yung mga cash management system, okay, na meron tayo, okay, para, okay, well, ma-mitigate man lang natin, no, yung mga fraud na yan. After nating pag-usapan yung mga fraud, dapat alam din natin paano yan ma-mitigate, no? So, let's talk about Sorianotes number 11. So, Sorianotes number 11 is about the cash management system na pwede nating, okay, i-apply or, okay, i-put in place sa company. So, what are these? Number 1 is yung tinatawag natin na segregation of duties. Again, number 1, no, is yung tinatawag natin na segregation of duties. Now, anong ibig sabihin ng segregation of duties? Ang ibig lang naman sabihin yan, merong 3 function na dapat ibigay natin sa iba't ibang tao. So, what are those 3 functions that we should give, okay, to various people? Okay? Number 1 is recording. Again, number 1, no, is yung tinatawag nating recording. Number 2 is yung tinatawag naman nating authorization. Authorization. Then, finally, number 3 is yung tinatawag naman natin, no, na custody. Okay? Or kung sino yung may hawak. Okay? Now, apparently, kapag binigay kasi natin itong 3 function na to, no, sa iba't ibang tao, mas maiiwasan yung fraud. Imagine this, kung iisa yung tao na may hawak ng pera natin, as well as yung nagre-record ng bagay na yon, napakadaling gawin ng lapping, tama ba? Pero kapag binigay mo sa dalawang magkaibang tao, no, yung recording and custody, mas maiiwasan yung fraud. I'm not saying, na wala ng fraud na mangyayari kapag sa magkaibang tao mo binigay yung recording at custody. Ang sinasabi ko, mas maiiwasan ng fraud kasi dalawa na silang kailangan, no, maging unethical bago, okay, or mawala ng integrity bago nila gawin yon. Okay? Now, what's the second one? The second one is yung tinatawag naman natin, no, na voucher system. Okay? Anong ibig sabihin ng voucher system? Well, ang ibig lang naman sabihin yan, before ka makapag-disburse ng pera from our petty cash fund, the same disbursement should be supported, no, by a properly approved petty cash voucher. Because what are petty cash fund again? Once again, kapag sinabi natin petty cash fund, ito yung cash na sinet aside natin pambayad ng mga maliliit na gastusin natin. So let's say, for example, bumili ka lang ng fishball. Pag bumili ka lang ng fishball, take note, hindi ka makakakuha doon ng resibo. Maliwanag, walang resibo yung nag-fishball. So apparently now, okay, yung nakalagay sa loob ng petty cash box natin is a voucher. Now, if hindi naman kailangan i-approve ng mga voucher na yon, yung petty cash custodian ngayon, anong mangyayari? Yung petty cash custodian, pwede niyang what? Pwede siyang gumastos lang kasi wala namang kailangan na resibo eh. Wala ring voucher na kailangan approve. Pero, if bago gumastos or bago makapag-disburse ng pera, no, yung petty cash custodian, kailangan meron mo ng approved petty cash voucher, mahihirapan siyang gumastos ng gumastos. Kasi bago siya makapaggastos, makapaglabas ng pera, kailangan pagpaalam niya muna yun eh. Okay? So, the next cash management system is the voucher system. The number 3 is yung tinatawag natin, no, na impressed system. Again, number 3 is yung tinatawag naman natin na impressed system. Ano naman tong impressed system na to? Well, kapag sinabi nating impressed system, it only means, no, again, it only means that, okay, all collections, again, no, ang ibig lang sabihin yan, all collections should be right away, again, should be right away deposited to the bank. So, every time daw, again, every time daw na nakakakolekta tayo dapat right away dinideposito mo yan sa bangko. Likewise, all payments, again, all payments should be made through issuance of check. Okay, issuance of checks. Ibig sabihin, kapag meron tayong babayaran, dapat daw bayaran mo yan through a check. Okay? Anong purpose ng impress system? The purpose of impress system is para maiwasan nating magkaroon ng napakalaking balance ng cash sa company premises. Sir, anong purpose nun? Or anong objective natin? Bakit ayaw nating magkaroon ng napakalaking balance ng pera sa company premises? Well, iniiwasan natin yon because ayaw nating manakawan tayo. Imagine this, kapag may malaking pera na nasa company premises, mas madali kasing magnakaw. Tama ba? Pero if wala namang malaking pera sa company premises, kasi nga, lahat ng collection, dinideposito. Lahat ng payment through issuance of check. Walang mananakaw ngayon yung ating mga empleyado. Tama ba? Wala silang mananakaw. Okay? So those are all the Sorianos that you have to remember so far, no, with regard to our cash and cash equivalents. Okay? Later on, no, sa mga susunod na videos, we will discuss petty cash fund, bank reconciliation, and proof of cash. But in the next video, di-discuss muna natin, no, yung mga problems related sa mga concepts na napag-usapan natin. Okay? So I hope you are enjoying our discussion so far. I hope hindi mo pinagsisisihan, no, na nag-enroll ka dito. I'm so excited to be with you hanggang sa dulo, okay, ng review mo. So God bless everyone. See you in the next video.